Today, I'd like to talk about developing some long term habits that are awesome, that are fulfilling, and that are toward your intention or purpose. We all have bad habits and we also have good habits, and many of us are trying to add in more of those habits that will they'll fill up that time and we'll be doing the right thing. So many times, those bad habits can't even be done because we don't have the time to do them. Now, with habits, one of the suggestions by B.J. Fogg, who's an adjunct professor at Stanford, he's a researcher and also a behavior scientist, talks about developing habits through his Tiny Habits book, which of course talks about starting off with creating small habits or tiny habits that don't really take much motivation to get started. And we all have that. We've tried losing weight. We've tried creating income or taking care of our finances or spending time intentionally with our family, whatever it is. And many times, we start off great, but then all of a sudden the motivation goes away. And before you know it, that habit hasn't kicked in and it's a short term habit, which we're really looking to develop long term habits. And one of the ways he talks about it is that for behavior change, you need motivation, very little bit, and the way he talks about. You need ability to be able to do that thing, and then you need a trigger, something that cues you in to start that new habit. And so, for example, he talks about in his book that one of his things he wanted to do is floss his teeth or do push-ups. So in this case, let's just say floss your teeth. So he says he goes to the bathroom, flushes the toilet, then flosses one tooth only. And once you do that, you celebrate. You can say, yes, I'm awesome. Or you can really get into it. Yes, I'm awesome. And when you really get into it and use your whole body, that's going to create emotional connection, which will increase the longevity of that habit and the more likelihood that you're going to do that habit. And another area, once again, he could be flushing his toilet and he's going to do one push up right after he flushes the toilet. Now, I would recommend, maybe washing your hands after you flush the toilet, but regardless, flush the toilet, do one push up. And he's gotten up to 50 to 70 push ups a day because every time he goes to the bathroom, he's done one or two push ups. But then over time, once that habit is kicked in, you can increase the length that you do that habit or add to it a little bit, but don't do that at first. Just keep it extremely simple. Some of the ways I do this is when I first get up in the morning, I pretty much go downstairs to exercise, read in a positive book, read my Bible, do a devotion, and pray. And I didn't start off doing all those. It was very hard. I'm like, how do I do all this? But I just started at one little simple thing. So for me, I go downstairs and I head straight to the basement, which is where our exercise equipment is. And the first thing I do is when I see the exercise equipment, I pick it up and just start lifting. Whatever the exercise is, I can do 1 rep, I can do 100 reps. It does not matter. But once I start, the funny thing is that I keep going and I don't need much motivation to keep going, but I do. So which is pretty cool. And then over time, I've added in another habit. Okay, I'll do some reps or a set of exercises, and then I'll read from my book just for a couple of minutes. I try not to read too long so I don't lose that exercise, the effort that I put into it. And then over time, I added to that. I also now read my Bible, do a devotion, and pray. So I do an exercise, do a book, back and forth, back and forth. And then right after that, I'm like, oh, I got to go on to my Bible, pray and read. And then I also read some other books too and added some other positive books and different things like that in there in that routine. Another routine for me has been water. I haven't drank enough water on a regular basis. So I tie that in before I go downstairs now to exercise. I tie it in with drinking some water before I go down to exercise. So I make sure at least to get some water because I drink way too much coffee. And then the key to all this again is you need to have some type of trigger. So a good formula for developing habits would be to first have a trigger, like am I going to flush the toilet? Then I'm going to do a push-up, and then you're to celebrate. Yes, I'm awesome. And so by doing that, once again, it's very simple, and you just start small, you're going to create some awesome long-term habits. And what could you do this with in regards to your work, your business? Could be sales, could be exercise, could be nutrition, could be spending time with your family. You could do it with all different types of things. And if you start off small and just continually, once you develop that habit, just chain it to another habit, you're going to be off to the races. So let's create some tiny habits take action and just play with it. Have fun. Have fun.